What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to Hit the Books. It is week 17 in the NFL. Just me and Ace here today, diving into this week 17 NFL slate. We're going to get into some of this NBA Christmas Day that we just saw. We had some great basketball, as like I said, on Christmas Day. NHL getting back up to speed this Friday after their Christmas break. A lot going on in the sports world as we move into the new year and things like that. But Ace, I'll hand things off over to you. How are we doing? How are we feeling heading into week 17?
Yeah, great Christmas just passed. Got to spend some time with some family and friends. Got to watch some great football and basketball, despite what LeBron says. I like when the NFL's on Christmas Day as well. I like being able to watch both sports. But yeah, we're getting right back into the swing of things. Got New Year's Eve, New Year's Day right around the corner too. So a lot of good time in sports here. Ready to get going on a week that's already started pretty well on my end. So happy to get going here this week.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yesterday, obviously, we're recording this day after Christmas. So we're a couple games into week 17. We saw Chiefs go or defeat my Steelers yesterday. Ravens absolutely trounced the Texans. Texans only put up 2 points, a defensive safety. So not looking good for Houston, obviously, or for my Steelers on a 3-game skid now. But we'll jump right into our week 17 slate. We got 3 games on Saturday this week. 1 o'clock, 4:30, and a 6 p.m. game. I love that 6 p.m. start time. I'm so happy they did that.
That's like perfect.
Game's going to be over by 10:15 at the latest. Like, that's not 12 like it normally is. But first game on the slate, Chargers at your Patriots. Patriots are a 4.5-point underdog. Over-under at 42.5. Patriots money line plus 180. Chargers minus 225. Which way do you go here?
Oh, I think it's got to be on the Chargers here. I mean, I think that the Patriots are just getting too much respect after having a nice matchup against a divisional opponent in the Bills. I mean, that was kind of the Patriots sticking it to them and saying, hey, Bills, like, we're coming next year. Be ready. Because Drake May's here. He's arrived. He's like top 3 in QB accuracy. He's got the most yards per carry since Michael Vick, or maybe even surpassed that. So he always keeps in the game. He's entertaining. Christian Gonzalez turning into an all-pro at corner too. That's nice to see. But in terms of this week, I don't think there's any chance of Harbaugh slipping up. I think we're going to be safer and take that money line in a parlay, maybe a 2-teamer. I know you guys like running the teasers, but it's kind of tough when you go past 0. I would go with the money line here for the Chargers. I think Herbert's playing too good of football. That team's firing on all cylinders, and that defense is playing great. Don't get me wrong. The Patriots will put up points and keep the game somewhat close or have a late comeback bid, but I think it's just the Chargers' time right here to get to the playoffs, get to their 10th win, and I think they lock up a playoff spot with a win here this week, right?
Yeah, I believe they do as well. They'd be 10-6. I think they would at least clinch, playoff spots. Obviously, Chiefs have that division, so they'd be in that wild card picture there. I do lean on that same spot. The 4.5 seems a little sketchy. I think, like you said, the Patriots are getting a lot of respect right now after coming off a good loss, I guess you'd say, to the Bills. Like, exactly what you want as a Patriots fan. Everyone looks good. The team looks good, and you lose by 3.
Help our draft.
Yeah, or you lose by 3-7, a 1-possession game. You can't be mad about that. Doesn't mess up your draft pick. I do think the Chargers handle business here, knowing what's at stake. They need to get a win here to clinch the playoffs. I also think it'll be a little bit. I'm going to take the over here, 42.5. I don't know what the weather's looking like up in New England. I think we could see maybe a 24-20 kind of game, 26-21, something in there. Both these teams have been able to put up points, so especially the Patriots last week against Buffalo.
You love to see it. You love to see it too with the Patriots. They have these low totals, and their defense is pretty mid, especially against the run.
They give up points and they can hang around.
Drake May can put up points on his own. You know he's good for at least a couple touchdowns a week. He might get an interception because the receivers are that bad, but he's going to put up points and just prove why he was the number 3 pick. One other play I do like in this game, I expect Ladd McConkey to continue eating on a great rookie season. The Georgia prod has been the man. And I think he makes the Patriots pay here because you want to hear some interesting lore about this one. The Patriots had the pick that was Ladd McConkey, traded back, which seemed like a good move at the time to get 2 more picks, a later second, then a 3rd-round pick. Ended up being Jalen Polk and Javon Baker. Boy, would I like to have Ladd McConkey right now instead of those.
Yeah, I definitely would agree with that. They definitely have the weapons out there. I'm trying to look up the Chargers scenario to clinch. Yeah, they clinch with a win. Or an Indianapolis loss at the Giants and a Miami loss at Cleveland.
Yeah, I mean, that's asking a lot out of 2 bad teams. So I think they just handle business on their own.
Yeah, I think they get the win, clinch their scenario. And then the next game we have on Saturday, this is a good one. Denver at Cincy. Cincy's a 3-point favorite, over under 49.5. Bengals money line is minus 165. Broncos at plus 140. The Broncos can also clinch a playoff berth with a win here. Bengals obviously need to win out and get some help to stay alive. What do you think happens here? Do you think the Bengals stay in this picture?
Yeah, I think they do stay in this picture because they fought so hard to get here after a terrible start and a weak defensive performance on the season. You can't think that the wheels fall off right now against the Broncos team. But you got to look at it and say, how is this Bengals team favored? They have one of the worst defenses in the league going up against a great defense. The Broncos, they fumbled a bad second half last week. They looked great against the Chargers in a Thursday night divisional matchup. Saturday's still a primetime slot, but I don't know. I like to think there's a lot of points here, but that a lot of people keep clamoring, oh, this Bengals defense is playing better. But let me tell you something. They just played the third string quarterback in Dorian Thompson, Robinson, whatever his name is. A bad quarterback out in Cleveland, the third stringer. The previous week they played Cooper Rush, who's playing solid football, but he's still a backup quarterback in himself. I'm not sold on this Bengals defense. I want to say they win, though, because I think that script just loads up for the next week, and then hopefully a bench Chiefs team can beat the Broncos to get the Bengals in. But I don't know. This is going to be a tough one. You got to think Joe Burrow, tough matchup on paper, but he's got a continuous sensational year. Jamar Chase has a continuous sensational year. They got us that backdoor touchdown to cash our team parlay last week when they didn't even need to. So that was great by Jamar hitting the gritty in the end zone. But yeah, I just can't see a spot where the Bengals fizzle out this spot. I don't know about you. Let me know what you think about Bo Nix taking on Joe Burrow.
Yeah, this is an interesting game here. Obviously, I want to see the Steelers get a better scenario against the Bengals next week. So I'm kind of hoping the Broncos lose this one, so they're out of the picture. I still think they'd love to play spoiler to us to the Steelers next week, but I'm going to lean on the Broncos here plus the points. I do think it's going to drop. So I don't know. This is a very tight game. I'm going to lean on the team with the better defense. I know they're on the road in a must-win scenario against a very good quarterback. I lean on the Broncos here. I probably won't actually bet it. But I also like the over 49.5 here. I think Bo Nix, I think Joe Burrow, I think both these offenses are able to put up points here. Again, not sure of the weather in Cincinnati on Saturday, but I lean on both these teams. I think you'll see Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Gesicki for Chase Brown for Cincinnati. You could see a lot of points for them. I think the Broncos are able to hang around. But I think in the end, I'm going to take the team with the better defense to close it out in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, a couple other points I want to bring up on this one. And I'm right there with you. I mean, I think it's going to be a tight one. Bo Nix is going to have a strong game, but Joe Burrow is undeniable. I know that Broncos defense is undisputed. They have Pat Surtain, Nick Bonitto, and a bunch of other guys that are playing up to stuff that you can't even name. We saw Gruden test Big Cat on the Barstool podcast. I thought that was pretty funny. Even Broncos fans can't name their own defense, but it's a group that's playing good football. Joe Burrow, undeniable though. He's going to get his yards. He's going to get his points, and Bo Nix is going to continue a strong rookie season. He's going to have a strong game to kind of push for that rookie of the year, even though I think Jaden locked it up last week. Chase Brown, though, we talked about him potentially getting the end zone. He became a starter in week 9. Did you know he's only 77 yards away from 1,000? That's craziness to me. I mean, he's really come into his own. I think he plays exactly like Austin Eckler, whereas that same number he did in LA Chargers. People say he's too small to run through the tackles. Well, he's doing it. He's a great receiving back. Goes out and runs patterns out wide for Joe Burrow, and he makes tough catches in traffic. It's something that's great to see. One quick thing I want to touch on, shout out to the people that made it to their fantasy football championship this week. But one of my buddies goes, should I start Joe Burrow versus the Broncos or Bo Nix versus the Bengals? That's a tough one right there.
Yeah, that's tough.
You can't go wrong either way, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think you can go wrong either way, but how do you sit
Bo Nix is matchup based, but how do you sit Joe Burrow?
How do you sit Joe Burrow in a game that you know he knows he needs to win?
In a year where he's having the best season of his career, where he's throwing for 300 plus a game, and his defense is bad. He's got Jamar reeling right now. I mean, I think you start Joe Burrow no matter what, but Bo Nix against that weak Bengals defense, he's probably going to have a as well.
Obviously, he could even rush one in. That could be the determining factor if Nix outscores Burrow in that one.
Yeah, the rushing.
Yeah, the rushing ability. Statistics, just because he gets a lot. I mean, he could have 40 yards rushing and a touchdown. It wouldn't surprise me. But yeah, this night game also very good. Like I said, a 6 p.m. start time here. NFC West battle. Arizona Cardinals heading to LA to take on the Rams. Rams are a 6.5 point favorite. Over under 48. Cardinals money line plus 240. Rams minus 300. The Rams can clinch the NFC West with a win and a Seattle loss at Chicago. That is obviously tonight. Like I said, we're recording on Thursday. So if Seattle loses this game tonight, the Rams can clinch with a win here. I think they'll keep controlling their own destiny of their the side of what they can't control, I guess I should say. Mm-hmm. I think the Rams going to win here. I think they covered the 6.5. I know this is a tough Rams defense. I took them last week again against the Jets. They're very good. They're gearing up for an NFC, obviously a home playoff game in the NFC. I think they're not a team you want to see in the playoffs necessarily. You got to deal with Stafford, Kupp, Nakua, Kyron Williams. Hard offense to game plan for. The defense on the other side necessarily isn't. Cardinals have looked dead in the water the past few weeks. I'm going to take the Rams here, -6.5.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I mean, I think the Rams do end up winning this game because they have the better coach here. Sean McVay, more experienced, Super Bowl champion as well. They have the offensive weapons to put up points galore. I really lean on that over this week. I always like that. You said that Rams defense, they played tough last week in a win. They held Rodgers to 1 touchdown. I'm still not sold on the group as a whole, though. I don't think they're very skilled. They have some young guys on that D-line that are stepping up, and they're a well-coached group. But overall, compared to some of these other top teams, playoff-ready teams, that's a weak secondary that's going to be exposed this week by Trey McBride, who probably finds the end zone this week, although I'm not going to card it again. Idiotic, get tucked into it by K1. But I think him and Marvin Harrison Jr. continue to play strong. James Conner, if he's healthy, will play strong. And I think they have a chance to play spoiler here. I think it's going to be close. Love them +6.5. Love that over 47.5. Let me know if you like this play. Tease it. You get Cardinals +12.5 and the over 41.5. You're getting 6 points. I think that's a really nice one. You can put it together and have a no sweat bet on Saturday night. But I think the superstars continue to eat here. Look for Kyron Williams to get in the end zone. It was nice to see Higbee back too. I don't know if you noticed that last game. Hadn't seen him in a while. He already looked good. I think found the end zone as well. But Puka and Cooper Kupp, they're going to get involved. You know they always do. On the other side, the Cardinals can put up points themselves. And when K1's running, he's doing his thing. Sitting at 7-8, this is their last chance. I think that'd be such a Cardinals move, though, to miss out on an easy win against the Panthers. And then next week, you're like, you know what, now we're going to lock it and win because we're already out. Cowboys did it last week. The Cardinals have a chance to do it. I'm not going to bet them on the money line. I like them +6.5. Love them +12.5. Love that over at standard rate or with the tease. So look for it to be a fun, entertaining matchup as the Rams and Cardinals always do with their offenses. But yeah, Rams should take care of business, get to double-digit wins, and look to lock up that division.
Yeah, I agree. Let's see here. Next one, AFC East matchup. Not too exciting here with the Bills being a 9-point favorite at home against the Jets. Over under 47. Bills -500 on the money line. Jets +375. I'll keep it short and sweet here. I'll take the Bills -9.
Do you think there's a chance the Bills go 14-3, or do they slip up here against the Jets? I mean, the Jets they've been hanging, but they can't win. I can't bet on them ever. I said they're going to win.
I think they'd have a better chance of
covering, maybe.
No, I'm saying I think if they're going to lose one of these games, they're going to lose next week to you guys, not.
Oh, because of the way we just played them.
Yeah,
is like that'd be a Patriots to do.
2 times in 3 weeks. We saw this. Cleveland did it to my Steelers. Like obviously Buffalo's a lot better than the Steelers, but like
it can happen in the division.
Divisional matchup 2 times in 3 weeks. That's always a scary thing to see on your schedule.
Plus, I think next week,
if you're the better team, you don't want to see that. If you're the worst, like the lower rated team, you're like, yeah, give me them in 2 times in 3 weeks so we can figure it out, watch the film, and beat them at least one time.
Yeah, and plus here, the Bills, I think they lock up the 2 seed here. They can't get the 1 seed. So I think they win here this week, get to 13-3, and then week 18 doesn't even matter for them.
It won't even matter, exactly.
Yeah. So they're going to be playing all their backups there, keeping everybody healthy. Or
maybe
they
Mitch
keep Allen
starting.
But at the same time, they're pushing for that Allen MVP. You see the O-line bought him all MVP pendants for his chain. Maybe a little bit predetermined. You know what's crazy to me? Like, I think Josh Allen should get the MVP because I like seeing new guys get it sometimes. And I like what he's doing for a team that a lot of people kind of wrote off before the year started. Remember, people were saying the Jets and the Dolphins. We even said it. We didn't write up the Bills that much, but they're playing great football. They're right there. They beat the Chiefs. They're going to be 13-3. I know, but his stats aren't as good as Lamar. Like on paper, Lamar should be locking up that MVP. But do you think it's just Allen's time to get one?
I think they've been trying to force feed him one for the past 2 years, and Lamar's been so good. I think this is the year where they can make a case for Allen. I do think he'll get it, but I mean, you look at what Lamar did yesterday, a 45-yard rushing touchdown or a 30-yard, whatever that was.
Yeah, and he's so efficient too. The TD, he crushing them in touchdowns. The TD to INT ratio is nuts. I'm surprised at that too. Think about Lamar.
And he's not having many incompletions. Like when he's throwing the ball, like they're completed passes.
He's either he doesn't throw it away because you know what he can do every time there isn't anything. He can just run.
Yeah.
And the way he extends the play, I mean, I know we're not even on the Ravens game, but that game yesterday when he was able to extend that play in the red zone, that's nuts how he's able to do that. Tough to cover. But back to the Bills here, I think they continue to play strong. You know who's looked great this whole season is James Cook. He was the guy that really got him back into that game against the Patriots last week and led the way because Allen's stat line was so low. But you know who else is going to continue to eat? I think Devontae Adams. He's on a very strong stretch to end the season. Nobody knows what's going on with him.
Contract.
Yeah, no one knows what's going on with him or Rodgers next year. I think he's going to keep continuing to produce. Touchdown hog, and like I said before, people in the fantasy championship, I think he's one of the top guys that's been carrying successful throughout the playoffs.
Yeah.
So look for him to continue to eat. Nobody else on the Jets offense too appetizing right now. I was big on Garrett Wilson early in the year, but I think now it's just Rodgers force feeding Adams every time he can. But give me the Bills here to win this week. I like it an Allen or a James Cook anytime touchdown, probably both of them. But they should win this one. There's a chance they cover.
Yeah. I think you get them minus what? It'd be minus 2.5 in a teaser. I think that's an absolute free leg. This next game absolutely sucks. There's a couple of very bad games on the slate. Raiders at Saints. Saints a 1-point dog over under 37.5. Saints plus 100. Raiders minus 120. How much would I have to pay you to actually bet on this game?
I think you want to, yeah, I know, a lot of money. Because you want to hear something funny? The Saints team is brutal. If Derek Carr's in the mix, I can bet on the Saints team, actually. I could take the Saints in this spot if Derek Carr is playing. But I don't think he's going to. I think they're going to ride out their weak guys to get that better draft pick. And you know who is actually an idiot? Good guy, good former player, and I think he's a player's coach. But Antonio Pierce, who loves winning meaningless games. I think he wins here this week and hurts the Raiders draft stock once again.
Yeah, I could see that happen. They obviously would they win last week against the Jags? That helped the Jags. Obviously, that was another kind of battle of bottom team.
Sanders, and they keep dropping. They were at 1, now they're at like 4 or 5.
Yeah, they keep saying now it's going to be the Giants.
Yeah, that's crazy. I think they could fall close to 8 to 10 range if they win here this week.
This year is the worst year to be a 4-win team because you're picking like 10th if you have 4 wins.
That's what I'm saying. The Raiders are going to play themselves out of a Shadur Sanders or Cam Ward chance. They're going to have to trade back up and waste a lot of assets to be able to get one of them. And it's just a sad sight to see. But if it's not Derek Carr at the helm, I cannot bet on Spencer Rattler. He shouldn't even be in the league. He was terrible in college, bounced around so many places, was always supposed to be the next big thing, but he can't do anything. I don't know why they locked themselves in the freezer before the tundra up in Lambeau last week. Yeah. But they got shell-shocked. No Kamara either. No, their best players, their leading skill players are Rattler, Kendre Miller, and MBS. I mean, no Taysom Hill even.
Yeah, they have nothing going for them.
Who's that guy that I do like? Chris Olave's out. Who's their number 2 receiver? Rashid Shaheed. I'm a big Rashid Shaheed guy. He's out too.
He's been out all year. Like they have nothing. Absolutely, yeah. They injury bug. Remember when they were 2-0?
Oh yeah. Remember everybody was telling us how we underrated the Saints and they were winning the Super Bowl and they're world beaters. We gave them their credit because we're like, oh, they are starting electric. But
they put up 45 in their first 2 games. Like, yeah, I'll respect that. And that was whenever Dallas still had Dak. We thought Dallas was still good this year.
They went into Dallas and opened the floodgates.
Yeah, put up 47 on the Cowboys in Jerry's world. That was pretty impressive. And then they definitely were in our power rankings that week, and they have not seen it since. But that's longer than I wanted to talk on that game. I can't even give a pick there. I kind of agree. I think the Raiders win that to fuck up their draft pick. So next game, Panthers at Bucks, divisional matchup here. Bucks minus 8, over under 48.5. Bucks minus 400, Panthers plus 310. Can Tampa Bay cover this, or do you like these pesky Panthers to hang around?
I think it's crazy because I think Bryce Young's still have a good game, and the Bucks cover. Let's take a second, Huff. Just me and you here, no Mackie. We called this shot from Bryce Young, and we hit on it. How good has that guy looked lately?
Did you hear his new nickname?
What?
The Carolina Reaper.
Yeah, I believe it. That's a good one too.
And he said he didn't like it. I was like, dude, that's kind of a cool nickname.
And he could take the Bucks out now. He's up knocking on the door. You know that gif where the Grim Reaper knocked on every door? Bucks, you're up next. But he's playing great football. Those young guys on offense. I mean, Chuba Hubbard's the real deal. They gave him
so good.
They gave him that long contract extension. Then he breaks a big one, goes over 100, and then overtime he breaks another big one, take it to the house to win the game. Bryce Young's firing on all cylinders. He's got a lot of weapons at his disposal too, who are turning into decent threats. We thought it was just gonna be Leggett. You know who you can't write off is Adam Thielen. That guy's still great. I mean, I wish somebody went and saved him from Carolina at the trade deadline. How much would you have liked to have had?
That's what I wanted my Steelers to go get. They wouldn't do it.
Yeah, it's crazy. Maybe it took too much to pry him from their hands because they know how good he is.
Yeah,
at his best,
especially for a young quarterback, a guy like that's huge.
Yeah, and he just moves the chains, makes crazy catches. He does everything. We talked about him yesterday. He used to be one of the best receivers in the league, and I still think he has that ability to carry an offense. But they have other guys around them. But I think Baker Mayfield and co. too strong of a season to let it slip up one more time. I think they put the pressure on the Falcons here and win this week. I do think they have a chance of covering that spread. I mean, they can put up big points at any given moment. Bucky Irving, Rashad White out of the backfield. Even their third running back's pretty good. And then the tight end position, we might get Cade Otton back this week. Even if we don't, it looked like a plethora of tight ends last week stepped up in his absence. Then Mike Evans, we know how great he is. And Jalen McMillan really coming on as a good receiver. I think he scored 5 touchdowns in his last 4 games, something like that. later round receiver pick, but this draft class just loaded with wide receiver talent. So many
Yeah.
good ones this year.
Brian Thomas, Malik Neighbors at the top, and then there's been so much depth too.
You got Marv, you got Glad McConkey, and you got McMillan really coming on here. There's a few others I'm not even thinking of. That Keon Coleman, he's
Xavier
really
Worthy.
good. Yeah, the list goes on and on. Polk and my guys haven't really turned into much, but yeah, Romo Dunze. The list goes on and on. There's a lot of guys we keep naming, but it's crazy to see how good these receivers have been this year.
Yeah, that I agree there. I think the Bucks definitely win that game. They need to win. They're at home. I don't think they're going to let a divisional matchup or a divisional opponent come in here and ruin their playoff hopes. Been wrong before, but I'd like to think Tampa Bay wins and could cover that spread. I don't like 8. I never like an 8-point spread.
A tough number.
Yeah, because you're basically taking them to win by 10, and that's usually when I know they're going to win by 7, and I'm going to be pissed. So take the Bucks to win. That's a good parlay leg there. Next game, also pretty shitty. Titans at Jaguars. Titans a 1-point dog, over under at 40. Titans money line minus 105. Jaguars minus 115. I'm going to take the Titans here. I don't know why. I think
I don't know why.
This is
You're a Mason Rudolph guy. You like Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer.
This is more me hoping they stick with Mason. I think this is a team
Mason Rudolph versus Mac Jones, our former guys right there. How nice is it to see that we don't have either of those bums?
I don't have to back up these guys. We don't have to back either of them up anymore. I do think the Titans have a little bit better of an offense right now. I know Brian Thomas has been an absolute stud.
The only guy.
I hit on him last week for the anytime at plus 180. I thought those were crazy odds for him, but
he probably scores again too.
I think he will score again at home. I might take that in this game instead of the Titans, but I think the Titans pull this one out and get a win here.
Yeah, you talked about their
Titans,
offense being
another
better.
great team at fucking up their draft picks.
Yeah, I mean, we heard last week when they gave up that huge day to Jonathan Taylor. I guess that quote came out by Mo Ali Cox. He said he heard the defense say, "Oh, this guy's going to put up 500 on us," or something like that.
Yeah.
So the Titans are packing it in. They're playing for that draft pick. At least their defensive side of the ball has been weak all year. I know they have a few guys that have been standout, but they're really tanking. And I do think they have the better offense. You're probably right. At the beginning of the year, you told me this. I'd say Jags any day with that offense because you had Kirk and ETN and Bigsby and Brian Thomas Jr. and another receiver that's pretty decent too.
Evan Ingram.
Yeah, Evan Ingram, Trevor Lawrence. The list goes on and on. But nowadays,
Dude, I thought me and you, I don't know who else it was. I had the Jaguars as a wildcard team this year.
Yeah, me too. I thought this was the year they're going to put together. We overrated Doug Peterson as a coach. He had that Super Bowl with the Eagles, but he can't put together in Jacksonville. Trevor Lawrence, injury-riddled career. That O-line's never been fixed. And then the injuries to Kirk and ETN underperforming. The defense is what's really crazy to me. I thought they were going to be a very strong defensive unit this year. They were in years past. They just kind of went non-existent.
Yeah.
But back to my point here about the Titans. You brought up them having the better offense. Now it's true. Because Tony Pollard, he was banged up last week. Tyjae Spears stepped right in. Those are two really good running backs. Then Calvin Ridley, I think, is a big receiver on the outside. And Akide Westbrook finds the end zone every week. Then even Chigoziem Okonkwo, his name is Chigo Okonkwo, he's been stepping up too. So I like the Titans to get the job here done here too. Mac Jones, a great tank captain. Probably a better tank captain than Drew Lock. And we're getting to that game soon. But I do think Brian Thomas Jr., no matter what, he's going to continue to eat and have the best rookie season out of all those great names we named earlier.
Yeah, I agree. This next one, also not too exciting. Colts at Giants. That's what sucks about Week 17, Week 18. Yeah. A lot of these games, you either have really good games or terrible games.
Tell you what, before you give us the lines real quick, the Colts are winning this game. Drew Lock is helping the tank. He's leading the tank charge. Give me the lines here, but I'm telling you the Colts wins.
Colts minus 7.5, over under 40.5. Colts money line minus 400. Giants plus 310. Yeah, the only thing going for the Giants has been Tyrone Tracy, Malik Neighbors. They have a nice core. They need to get a quarterback in there.
I like.
They have obviously the defensive line that everyone knows about.
Secondary they brought in too.
Seriously,
young guys.
They did lose Xavier McKinney. I think that was a big piece. I think if they would have kept him, this defense would be that much better. Obviously, he's been a stud up there in Green Bay.
They drafted well to replace him, though. In that D-line, it's not the defense that's the problem, honestly.
No, I know. Yeah, they're hanging in games, and it's just because their offense throws a million interceptions or fumbles or turnovers. Yeah. We saw it last week against the Falcons. I had the Falcons minus 10 and 2 pick sixes, a fumble, 4 sacks. Like, it was literally a yard sale for the Falcons defense. But I'm going to take the Colts here as well. Are they still in the playoff race?
Yeah, that's why I think they win on the money line here just to be on that outside bubble. You need a few teams in the bubble. Like
Yeah.
they're not gonna get in, but here's the weirdest scenario they do.
They
So they're
need
gonna.
like 6 teams to tie and lose. Yeah,
Oh,
that
I forgot to give my take on the last game. It was so bad. I forgot about it. Titans Jaguars potential for first tie of the season right there.
that that would fuck up draft picks as well.
Yeah, that'd be funny. But yeah, give me the Colts here on the money line. I don't think they cover 7.5. I think the Giants keep it close and the Colts get a little scared. But at the end of the day, they win the game to stay in that bubble picture.
I agree. I might even take the Colts minus the 7.5 here. I think I'm pretty confident in that. Even if it's true
Giants,
lock.
there we go. They're not
Yeah.
that good either, the Colts. But Jonathan Taylor looked insane. Maybe if one of us puts him on the card. I don't think I've taken his any time all year, have you?
I haven't. I don't think so.
And
I
he's
haven't
actually a
watched many
great running
Colts
back.
games. I really haven't.
I think it's because of the Anthony Richardson effect, being able to vulture touchdowns. That's why.
Yeah. It's like Hurts and Saquon.
Yeah, exactly. It's so annoying when you have those rushing quarterbacks.
Speaking of Hurts and Saquon, we have an NFC East matchup with Mackey's Cowboys heading to Philly. Eagles are a 7.5-point favorite, over under at 40. Eagles money line minus 375. Cowboys plus 300. Let me see here. Eagles, I saw their scenario to I think they clinched the division with a win or a Washington loss versus Atlanta on Sunday Night Football.
That would be a great game.
Yeah, that will also be a good game. I think the Eagles handle business here. I'll take them minus the 7. I'd like to get it to 7 instead of 7.5, but I think the Eagles handle business. I think the Cowboys have shown some fight. I think this is a little bit different of a matchup, a little different caliber team than they've played. Eagles have a defense that can stop Cooper
Is
Rush.
Jalen Hurts playing?
Offense. That's the other thing is I assume he's playing based on this line. My pick is definitely contingent on him playing. I'm not taking the Eagles minus 7 with Kenny Pickett under center.
Awful.
I didn't think Pickett looked that bad last week.
Hurts hasn't practiced all week and he's still in concussion protocol.
So he's probably not playing.
So either
That's
Can
how the
Kenny
over so
Pickett-
low then.
can Kenny Pickett beat the Cowboys?
I'm gonna say,
I don't know how.
dude, he
how
wasn't.
bad did he
He
look?
wasn't the reason they lost that game last week.
But the game script flipped. I think it is. The whole reason of him coming in, did you see how stymied they get Barkley in the backfield?
Yeah.
They started bringing the house. They loaded up the box. As soon as Barkley touched the ball, there's 3 red shirts in the backfield, and he couldn't do anything. I don't think Pickett can do enough on his own. I know he had chances, but he had a big lead to play with, too.
Yeah.
I know there's drops by Devontae Smith, but the amount of 3 and outs. You know what we need to see from him next week, this week, if they want a chance to win with him, is him being able to rush the football. That was when he was at his best, was when he was running.
Yeah. Yeah.
But talking about this Cowboys team, I think they got their big win last week, right? They got their big win by beating the Bucs and really denting their playoff hopes at home too. They go into Philly, so that playing at the link helps a lot. And you got to think, regardless of Saquon getting stymied last week, they're not going to stymie him for 4 straight quarters. He's going to get his, and he's going to carry here. One thing though, that Cowboys defense has played ever since Michael Parsons came back. How tough have they played?
I mean, Parsons obviously is the heart of that defense. I feel like he's kind of the heart of that team. Obviously, they have Dak, but
No,
making
he
the big
is.
money at the quarterback. But yeah, he's the heart and soul of that team. And once he kind of came out and said, I want to keep McCarthy. I want McCarthy to stick around. I'm not going
They're fighting
anywhere.
for him.
I want to be a Cowboy for life. Like he said
Mhm.
all the right things. Obviously, he said some dumb shit on his podcast over the
He always
past.
does.
Yeah, I thought that was the kind of the right move there, and you could see the whole team kind of bought in. I thought that defense was cooked when DeMarvion Overshown tore his leg again.
Yep.
He's been an absolute dog for them when he plays.
Parsons keeps
Plays
turning up.
very sparsely. He's always hurt, but Parsons is carrying the weight down there. I think the Cowboys will keep it respectable, especially if Pickett plays. I think that defense will feast on that Eagles offense.
Plus, what's his name? Brandon Aubrey, best kicker in the league. I know Boswell's having probably the best season, but I think Aubrey's the actual best kicker in the league now.
Yeah, I think dude, Aubrey lines up from 54, and it just looks
Nails
so effortless, and it's right down the middle.
Playing in a dome helps too, but I mean he's the only young kicker too. Maybe Dicker, I think he's really good as well. But I think Aubrey's the best kicker in the league, gonna be the next one best for a while too.
Yeah,
and he helps them stay in it. Also, Rico Dowdle, I mean he's like mediocre in the last few weeks. CeeDee Lamb's come back to life. Cooper Rush though, we gotta talk about him putting up better stats than Dak Prescott, so we know he can put points up. But that secondary is clamped for the Eagles. You got to think that they shut down Cooper Rush here too. If it's Cooper Rush versus Kenny Pickett, you like the under here?
I would take the under.
Yeah, I would agree. But I think Saquon Barkley going to be force-fed. Got to find a way to get A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith very involved, even if you're Kenny Pickett. So it'll be an interesting matchup. If it's Kenny Pickett versus Cooper Rush, I think it might be a tough game to watch, but it's going to be a very competitive football game.
Yeah, I agree. This next one not will not be as exciting with the Dolphins heading to Cleveland to take on the Browns. Browns are
DTR.
6.5 point dog over under 40. Browns money line plus 240, Dolphins minus 300. I like the under in this one. Dolphins, obviously we know the narratives of them playing in cold weather. I don't think it's supposed to be too shitty in Cleveland this weekend, but definitely the cold will be a factor. I'm going to take the under 40 in this one.
Oh God, it's cold weather and it's the Dolphins. They don't win those games. Would this be a good time for Mike McDaniel to save his stats against a brutal Browns team in the cold weather?
It's
You know how
certainly
we saw that one where he's like 1-7 or whatever in
yes.
cold weather games? There should be an asterisk if he goes 2-7 now because they'd be like, well, one of those wins was against the terrible Browns on their third string quarterback. So I got the Dolphins here because I think they're gonna stay in the playoff picture. Same reason I said for the Colts. Also Devin Achane, how great is he? He's one of the top running backs in the league now. I think he's potential top 10 running back. He's running all over him. Raheem Mostert looked pretty good last week. And Tua was getting the ball to all different guys. I know they were without Jalen Waddle, so he had to involve new guys. But the Browns, too, you know what's funny is DTR is starting this week. Jameis is potential to be the backup this week as he's a limited participant. I didn't know they had my guy Bailey Zapp. Hated that guy as a Patriot, but pretty funny to see him. I would like to see him as the backup this week, and then they pull DTR, get a little Bailey Zappy action against the Dolphins. That'd be funny this week. But yeah, I don't know if you can fire up too many of those guys in fantasy from the Browns side, but from the Dolphins side, definitely A-Chain. That guy's eating. I think he's on a high percent of fantasy championship squads as well. So continue to fire him up. Maybe we take an A-Chain touchdown. I think that might be the safest bet in this game. And then the Dolphins to win to keep their playoff hopes somewhat alive.
Yeah, I would agree. This next one's probably our game of the week. Packers at Vikings,
Yeah, it
NFC
is.
North matchup. Vikings at home are a 1 point dog over under at 48.5. Money lines for both teams sitting at minus 110. I believe the Vikings went to Green Bay last time and won. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think that's one of the Vikings' two losses on the year. Let me pull that up to fact check it real quick. The Vikings' two losses have been to the Rams and the Lions. So no, the Vikings beat the Packers 31-29. Now remember that. That was a great game there. Sam Darnold with a nice game, 3 touchdowns, 275 passing. And yeah, big fourth quarter by the Packers where they tried to backdoor their way into it. But I think it started off with the Vikings scored 28 straight points against them last time they played.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think they're firing all cylinders. Vikings look good. Sam Darnold looks great. Look at how he's getting Justin Jefferson involved heavily. That's a Kevin O'Connell game plan right there. He schemes the ball to his best players. We didn't see Addison much last week, so I think he starts snapping off again this week. Hawkinson's going to play well too. They have Jones. And then that defense, I mean, I know they have the best choreographed dances on the year, but that's because they get so many turnovers. I mean, they're turnover galore. Brian Flores has that group playing great football. A lot of different names stepping up too. Cam Bynum being one of them that comes to mind. Harrison Smith still flying around out there for him. But yeah, I've got the Vikings here to win this one. We didn't say this for the Eagles game too. Very important game for them to win. I know they don't have the driver's seat for the 1 seed in the NFC, but they're still very much in play for it, especially the Vikings and Lions playing each other. Give me the Vikings here this week. I love that's a plus on minus 105, I guess. I mean, you could shop that and probably find them plus 100. But +1 on the line there for the Vikings. They're going to win here this week. Give me Sam Darnold, a continuous strong year. They're going to push for the 1 seed. Let me have them steal that 1 seed from the Lions, and my futures bets on the Vikings would be looking very, very good. Best coach in the league. He's going to win Coach of the Year, Kevin O'Connell. They're going to put up a lot of points, but it's not going to be an easy task because the Packers, Josh Jacobs are flying. The receivers are kind of trending down, in my opinion, for the Packers. Jordan Love too, but Josh Jacobs and that defense are no slouch. Just had a nice shutout on Monday Night Football. Matt LaFleur, great coach too. Going to be a great game. I've got the Vikings here though. Justin Jefferson, gritty. Do you disagree with my take?
No, I agree 100%. I'm with the Vikings. I think they'll give us an interesting game next week between Minnesota and Detroit. I'm excited for that. Looking ahead, obviously, if the Vikings win this one, but I'm going to take the Vikings minus 110 on the money line. I'm not as big on this Packers team. I think they're very good with Jacobs, Love, and obviously all the receivers they have. Going up against those two big dogs in their division, they haven't looked good yet this year. I'm going to take the Vikings minus the 110 on the money line.
They're going to be the toughest dog though in the playoffs. They're going to be the toughest wild card team to see. Matt LaFleur, great coach, a great defense. Jordan Love hasn't. He's kind of had a slump.
If the Vikings don't win the 1 seed, they'll be the toughest. But
yeah, actually, yeah, that's right. Vikings or Lions. I forgot about that. One of them has to be a wild card too. These NFC North teams you just don't want to see in the first round, really. But yeah, that Packers squad. I mean, Jordan Love, sophomore slump. I know it's not a sophomore year, but I'm going to call it his sophomore year because he only started second year. as a starter. But him in that passing game hasn't looked great. You get them in the playoffs, though. We saw them blow out a really good Cowboys team last year on the road. So who knows what happens? But they could play spoiler here to the Vikings 1 seed chance. But I've got the Vikings here this week. It's gonna be a great match.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a very good matchup. Sunday at 4:30. Then Sunday Night Football, another good one. With Atlanta heading to DC to take on the Commanders. Commanders are a 4-point favorite. Over under at 47.5. Commanders money line -210. Falcons +170. I'm gonna go with the Commanders here. To at least win this game. I think this Falcons team, obviously, they controlled their own destiny. They let Tampa Bay come back in the picture. Falcons do clinch, I believe, the division with a win and a Tampa Bay loss. Obviously, Tampa Bay is an 8-point favorite at home against the Panthers this weekend. I think the Commanders, they also win, or they clinch with a win here as well. I think the Commanders get the job done at home. Give me the Commanders to win this game. I think this is kind of a big. Brian Robinson hasn't done much in the past few weeks. This is going to be all Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin. I'm looking forward to this one on Sunday Night Football. I think this will be a good matchup.
Yeah, I like them too, and this is a tough one though, because those Falcons control their own destiny to win that division. They spent so much to make that team good. Their defense coming off a huge performance, 2 pick sixes, one by Matt Judon, I believe the other by Jesse Bates.
Penix has looked good.
He looked good, but he was a good game man. He game managed well last week.
He looked comfortable, I should say.
You know who looked really good was Bijan Robinson. It's easy to look good when you have that guy toting the rock the whole game. I think Penix went for just over 200 yards, 1 interception. That wasn't his fault. Kyle Pitts went right through his hand. I'm out on Kyle Pitts now. I wanted to see him do something. I know. I like Kyle. It's just like the athletic abilities there, but that ball went right through his hands for Penix's first career interception, which was brutal to see. I would be pissed if I was him. But that Commanders team, you know what's surprising about the Commanders is that defense is actually solid. All the talk is about Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin, as it should be, because they've been on fire. That duo is elite. And then guys like Olamide Zacchaeus, he's going to have a revenge game chance against the Falcons. He had 2 touchdowns last week, so maybe we look at his touchdown odds as he's really coming on as the second receiver for the Commanders. But I want to talk about that defense for a second. They brought in Bobby Wagner. They brought in Marshawn Lattimore at the deadline. They have a bunch of other young guys playing well. Dan Quinn's a good coach there. I don't know. I think that defense is just stepping up, and I like the way that they're going. Anytime you have Bobby Wagner on a defense, I feel like he gets that group playing much better than they actually are. He's one of the best leaders in the league.
I like that Louvu on the Commanders.
Yeah, Frankie Louvu, he's insane. He's been good. He's been on the come up for a little bit. And that defense is strong. They have a lot of other names that aren't as big.
Sane Recital, or however you say it, Sane Ristel.
Yeah, he's pretty good too. What about Lattimore last week? Had his hands full with AJ Brown, all those penalties he kept drawing.
He did his own.
He did his own in the end zone, though. He made a couple of big plays. That's what you got to do against A.J. Brown. You can't be left on an island against him, especially when you're much smaller. Much easier matchup here, which is crazy to say because of how good Drake London's been, but much easier matchup than A.J. Brown for him here this week. Give me the Commanders. I think it might be a little bit tighter. Bijan's going to find the end zone once again, the 1,000-yard rusher. But yeah, Jaden Daniels, he's on one this year. And watch those Eagles. If they slip up with Kenny Pickett at the helm with this, Jalen Hurts isn't a go. Can the Commanders steal that division? That'd be something to watch. But this is going to be a great game. I expect it to be tight either way. Both defenses are going to be strong. You know what's crazy is how much talent's on both sides of the ball. I like the under here because I think the defense is just playing really good playoff type football.
Yeah, I kind of agree. 47.5. I feel like it's a lot of points for these two teams, but the Commanders have been known to put up points this year. It's definitely scary there, especially at home on Sunday night. I kind of started to talk myself into the Commanders -4, maybe -3 by a point there. But I think that's a good Sunday Night Football matchup that we're getting into this week. Monday night preseason, this game would probably have been the game of the week for everybody. An NFC Championship rematch from last year with Detroit heading to San Fran. Niners are a 3.5-point home dog here, over under 50.5. Lions money line is -185, and the
how much do you love that?
Is +150. I think Detroit, they have to win this game. You can't drop this and let the Vikings get back.
That's what I'm saying. Is there a slip-up chance? Kyle Shanahan and the Niners, the defense is a bit healthier at home on Monday Night Football. All the narratives and the NFC Championship, you just beat them. This is a tough spot for the Lions. The fact that this game is so late in the year, if this was early in the year, they would have blown them out. And there's still potential for a blowout because the 49ers are playing atrocious. But on paper, I don't know. This isn't the easiest matchup in the world.
Yeah, I would agree. I'd lean on the Lions here to win this. Maybe take the -3.5. I think if the Lions win this, I don't think it will be a 3-point or a 2-point game. So I'd definitely lean on the spread there with the Lions if you think they win the game. Obviously, a tough situation for the Lions here. They need to win this. Obviously, if Minnesota, we both picked Minnesota to beat Green Bay, so they'd both be sitting at 14-2 after this week if the Lions win this as well, with a do or die game for the division in Week 18. You either win the division or you're the 5 seed in the playoffs. It would be crazy. This is going to be a good game. I'm going to lean on the Lions here, minus the 3.5. I think they get right. I think Campbell gets them ready. I'll take the Lions minus the 3.5.
Think you got to take the Lions minus 3.5. By that half a point for my sanity if you do end up taking it. But I'm just scared of the 49ers. It'd be such like a 49ers move. Like we said earlier with the Cardinals, you're already out. Oh, let's just play spoiler now. It seems like teams are more hyped up because you're playing less tense football too, because it doesn't really matter if you lose. You're just going out there and balling, right? And I think the team on is so good, but the Lions have got to win this game. I am kind of worried though, because that Lions defense has been getting decimated by the injury bug. How can they hang? I don't know. It'd just be crazy to imagine they'd knocked them out of the NFC in crazy fashion last year. Now they knock them out of the 1 seed.
Yeah, there's definitely a narrative here for the 49ers to be motivated for this game.
And they have nothing to lose. And they do have a great coach and great skill players all around. It's such a great spread on a really good Lions team. I mean, I never take the Lions, but I think I love a Jahmyr Gibbs touchdown much more. Got to expect Jared Goff's been looking great too. It's on the road though. Monday Night Football. It's just a scary spot because the line and everything points to the Lions buzzing, but yeah, I mean it's just a scary spot. I just don't think this is what the Lions wanted this week.
No, 2 tough games for them to end the season.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's our Week 17 slate there. Our power rankings go as follows: Chiefs at 1, Lions at 2, Vikings at 3, Bills at 4, and the Philadelphia Eagles staying in there at 5. I think that Ravens team obviously is just right there, if not above the Eagles personally, now that we made this list and seeing what the Ravens did yesterday. Eagles now without Jalen Hurts possibly, so look for a little change up heading into Week 18, pending what the Eagles do here this week. But I think that's a solid list there. We'll jump over to our NBA power rankings. We had some Christmas Day games. We'll rip through these power rankings and then kind of recap some of those games real quick. NBA goes as follows with the Thunder at 1, Celtics at 2, Cavs at 3, Knicks at 4, and the Memphis Grizzlies back in here at number 5. They've also been playing very good ball. Not many of those teams played on Christmas Day, surprisingly. I think we didn't get the Thunder, we didn't get the Cavs, we did get the Knicks.
You got the big markets though.
So we got your Celtics and Mackey's Knicks, obviously, and then we saw Mackey's Knicks pull off a 3-point win. Wemby went absolutely crazy in that game. I think he is so good. 42, 18, and 4. Obviously, Mackey was pointing out his boy. Mikal Bridges went for 41. Wasn't as good as Wemby, but he did get the win. I think, I'm seriously saying this, I think Wembanyama is a top 4-3 player in the NBA right now.
Yeah, he's insane. I mean, you've been praising him since before he was even drafted, but he's a superhuman there. He's a freak athlete. I mean, guy's insane. I think they could push for the playoffs too. I wouldn't mind to see them get in, especially they'll definitely be in the play-in, I think, but I wouldn't mind seeing them win a play-in to get into the playoffs, actually. I want to see them in a series, get him some exposure, so that way down the road when he's even better, when that team's built a little bit more, it turns up. But I think that Knicks team's a good team too. My Celtics, tough game there. Do you think that's just the Sixers trying to say, hey, we're still here? Is that a Sixers like championship right there for them?
I think it's a little bit of both, and obviously when you get 33 from Maxey, 27 from Embiid, and I mean 23 from Caleb Martin wasn't obviously expected. You'd like to see Paul George putting up more than 12 there, but it's really one of the first. I mean, this trio hasn't played together a lot this year, so like they bring them all together on Christmas Day, going up against a big rival in the Celtics. You know, they were 10-17 heading into this game. I like the Sixers with the spread, but I would never bet on the Sixers in Boston. You guys just historically own them, so I didn't end up doing it. They win the game outright, 118 to 114. I don't even know what the closing spread was. Boston minus 9.5 I'm seeing here. That's crazy. For Philly to have all three of those guys, I think they're a different team than what we've seen, but I don't think that says much. If anything, Celtics are dropping a lot of home games. Like, why are all their losses at home?
They're all like 2 to 4 point games though, and they're very tight. I mean, they don't like
need. I mean, they're still the 1 seed.
Yeah, they're very close games. Think about people, but they bring their best game when they play the Celtics too. Yeah. So that's a very big game for them there. I don't look into it too much, but yeah, I'd obviously like them to beat the Sixers on home court. I think the next game was much better though. That Lakers game was sick.
Yeah, Lakers Warriors. We saw Steph go crazy in the fourth quarter of that game.
Vintage Steph over LeBron.
His official stat line on the night was 38, 6, and 1, and 8 for 15 from the 3-point line.
Good.
Yeah, and 2 huge ones to end the game. They were down 6. Steph hit
Under 20
back-to-back
seconds
threes,
left. Yeah.
literally ties the game. Lakers end up
did
winning with a
everything.
last-second layup by Reeves.
They did
Wasn't
everything
enough.
just to lose.
Yeah, seriously. Did you see the best part in that video that I posted is if you look at the Lakers bench, as soon as Steph gets the ball, all the like bum players on the Lakers are like standing there like this isn't over, this isn't over. He hits the shot, and the one dude just goes, and huddles up into the bench, dude. It was so funny.
Because how vintage is that? The one over LeBron was a lot cooler, but then AR-15, who is it? It says it all the time. One of the guys on First Take, I think it's can't know. He's always like, if I had the game on the line, I want Austin Reeves taking the game-winning shot.
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean, he's clutch. He hits those clutch shots all the time.
He's been good, and this last game I didn't watch much of Denver. Phoenix.
Last point on that Lakers game, they did it without AD too. He left in the first quarter.
I didn't even notice it.
Yeah, he left with injury in the first quarter. I hate to see that. I started him in fantasy last night too. Tough scene, but the fact that they were able to get that job done without him, Lakers and Warriors can both be in the playoffs. The Warriors have been slipping bad lately. They got to figure it out.
Yeah. And like I said, I didn't watch much of this night. When I watched a little bit of the first quarter with Phoenix hosting Denver. Durant with 27, Bradley Beal with 27. They kind of carried the way for Phoenix.
Started hot.
Yeah, they started out hot. Obviously, what did Jokic do in this game? 25, 15, and 2. So a typical Jokic stat line. You'd like to see a little bit more assists. But obviously, Nuggets dropped that one by 10. There was a great Christmas Day slate. Oh, the one we didn't touch on, Anthony Edwards went for 26 and a win over the Mavericks. They needed that one. They're now sitting back up above 500 at 15 and 14 after a slow start to the season. So those are 5 really good Christmas Day games. I love Christmas Day basketball. So love to see when they actually give us some good matchups.
Bring back the vintage Christmas jerseys though, like LeBron said.
Yeah, I don't know why they don't do that anymore. Why they stop doing that?
I don't know. Probably because they have so many other jerseys that they produce.
Literally, they release all these stupid jerseys.
The NBA Cup, the Emirates Cup
jerseys.
is the one. That's all they're worried about now. The last couple of years is promoting that, and like painting the courts. But it is nice to see all the superstars. They always go off on Christmas Day. That's something we're used to. If there's no NFL, I probably would have had a bigger card. You and I usually do well on that superstar prop card. But it is what it is. We'll get you some more plays. I think the beginning of the season for the NBA now is officially close to over. So we're starting to figure out who's real, who's fake, and what teams need to figure it out if they want to make a little playoff push. But starting to heat up in the NBA, so some good stuff coming along the way. And probably some moves coming as well. A lot of teams looking to make moves. You see a lot of trade rumors. You know the Lakers and Warriors will both do something, so that'll be something to monitor as well as we get down the stretch.
Yeah. We'll jump quickly into the NHL. Let's see here. I just had it pulled up for our list. The power rankings in the NHL are the Devils at 5, Oilers at 4, Vegas at 3, Winnipeg at 2, and the Capitals at 1 here. Capitals playing very good hockey. They just took down the Hurricanes a few weeks ago there.
But my Bruins took them down. I told you guys that team, you know what? We can give credit to them, and we do by putting them in the power rankings, but they're not an elite hockey team. I'm telling you that.
No, I agree. I wouldn't be scared of the Capitals in the playoffs.
They've been playing elite hockey, and they've been doing it in the wake of Alexander Ovechkin, but that roster's not that good. They don't have a studs really at any position. They've rebuilt well behind Ovechkin. I think they're going to keep slipping. I think it's nice to see your Penguins getting back in the mix. My Bruins sitting very well now after a great December. I think they went like 11-2-1 or something like that. But regardless, they're right back in the mix. They're in the third Atlantic spot or the first wild card, something like that. So they turned the corner. Your team turned the corner, starting to turn up. We're waiting for Mackey's Rangers to really turn up. Teams out west are playing great hockey. The regular season heroes that are the Winnipeg Jets and Dallas Stars, we know how great they are. McDavid's team starting to turn it up a little bit. Those Panthers are still super relevant, they play the game hard-nosed, but I got some other choice words for them as they've taken out my Bruins the last few years, but they're a great team. Can't really hate on them. And then Wild slipping a bit too. Buffalo Sabres, that's a dumpster fire. Ottawa's getting back in the wild card mix. Tampa Bay is playing great hockey again. It's heating up. We got the Winter Classic coming up soon too, Huff, huh?
Yeah, who is that? St. Louis, Chicago?
Yeah, we got those Chicago jerseys that look pretty fresh. So they did St. Louis dirty with theirs. So we get to see Bedard outside. Some other names like, you know what's going to be nice? A lot of names that are going to be on the market. I know you guys interested to see if you guys will be buyers at the deadline or if you bring in some more youth. But I know the Bruins will be buyers. Guys like Taylor Hall, I think Tyler Bertuzzi, some of those names could be on the move for for a team that's been underperforming. So excited to see some of the moves there. I'm excited to see the Winter Classic
Why
this
is
year. I
the
love
Winter
Boston.
Classic not a standalone game?
It's not?
No, they have a full slate of games on the 31st, and why? Yeah, it's never on New Year's Eve either. Why is it on New Year's Eve?
Maybe it's because of day of the week. Is there college football or something?
I mean, yeah, there's the college football playoffs are on New Year's Day, so
That's
maybe they
definitely
didn't
why.
want to compete with that.
That's definitely why. So it's on the 31st this year.
The 31st at 5 p.m. Blues at Blackhawks, and if you look at the location, it says Wrigley Field.
Is it because the teams are so mid that they're in it?
I have no clue. I thought it was always a standalone game at least.
Yeah, that's weird.
Like I remember 2 years ago, it was Penguins
It
Bruins.
literally has to be because of the NCAA playoffs. That's
I-
got to be the only
I
reason.
would think so. They don't want to compete with football.
Yeah, and that makes sense. I mean, kudos to them. But I mean, who do you like to win that Winter Classic game? I think I'm gonna go with the over there.
Yeah,
but I'm
that'll
gonna go
be
with
an
the
over.
Blues. Go with my former coach Jim Montgomery there. Better coach, better goalie. But I think the superstars show up there. We'll get some goals from like Robert Thomas and whatnot. Maybe Jake Neighbors on that Blues side, Justin Falk too.
And
then
they
on
have the Blues have the better defense, the better
They're
goaltending.
the better team. There's the
Yeah.
better team. The Blackhawks are young and they have the flashy skill. They'll get some goals. I could see a Bedard power play goal or something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe that would be a good play for us to throw on the card that day. But Bedard
The
point or goal.
over Bordard point or something. Yeah.
I think that'll be fun. But that'll be fun to watch. Tough teams, but NHL's heating up. They're in a little break right now. And then we got the Four Nations Cup just around I think Four Nations Challenge, whatever it is. That's just around the corner too, so that'll be fun
Yeah.
to watch. Shout out to my boy Brad Marchand though. The Rat's been on a heater ever since Biz called him out on the TNT stream. He's been on the longest point streak, just hit the longest point streak for an oldest Bruin lately. So great to see that. Hope they can keep winning soon. Get well pasta, but good hockey right now.
Absolutely, yeah. And then we wanted to touch on briefly, like I said, college football playoff starts New Year's Eve with Penn State, Boise State, and then on New Year's Day we get obviously the rest of the matchups. Trying to pull it up here. I don't know
Georgia,
why.
Dame's a good one.
Yeah, Georgia, Notre Dame, Texas, in this order it goes Texas, Arizona State in the Peach Bowl, Ohio State, Oregon in the Rose Bowl, and then the night game is Notre Dame, Georgia in the Sugar Bowl.
Can
On New
Ohio
Year's
State
Day.
or Notre Dame upset? Because I know Boise State and Arizona State are. Who's more likely, Ohio State or
Ohio State's
Notre Dame?
favorited against Oregon.
That's crazy to me. I know they already played earlier this year, and it was like, what, a 1-point game or one?
They lost by
possession game?
1, 32-31.
Yeah, but
In
I think
Oregon.
but Oregon, they're going
This
to
is now a neutral site.
I think they keep buzzing there. I'm going to go with him. I'm not a big, was it Ryan Day, the coach there?
Yeah, Ryan Day.
Not a big fan of him, but I think that Notre Dame has a better chance to upset there because of all the Georgia quarterback controversy.
Yes.
But those are two wagons. I think, can I safely hammer my Texas Penn State moneyline parlay? It's even worse odds than the first round, and they're on the road this time. But
Yeah,
can
now I was going to say,
that?
now neither team's at home. I'd love to see Texas as the biggest favorite again at 13.5 points. I don't know if I'll actually end up taking that. Obviously, I think they
On the
handle
money line
Arizona
though.
State.
Money line parlay the two of them.
Yeah, I think you can. What is it? Probably minus 190 this time?
No, it's probably higher. It's probably minus 10. I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I think it's still safe though.
Yeah, I'd say so too.
I wouldn't include anything in that Oregon-Ohio State game.
No.
Just take the two that you know are going to win.
And then you can individually bet the next two. If I individually bet the next two, you think you would take both underdogs and hope that one wins?
You could probably do that. I think Notre Dame wins. Like that's my favorite. That's my favorite. That's probably the only betting underdog I'll take all
That
weekend.
Georgia defense is tough though.
Yeah, it is. But
That could be
Riley
an under
Leonard's
game.
look good. Jeremiah Loves look good for Notre Dame. They looked insane in that Friday night game, as a lot of those teams did, being at home. Riding
Bad teams.
riding the high of a playoff game at home.
It's crazy to call them bad teams because they had great seasons, but weaker conference teams.
They shouldn't. Yeah, teams that when it comes down to it, like Ole Miss, Alabama, all should have been in there over Indiana, over
even the U.
SMU. Yeah. Yeah, Miami too. But obviously, also what I wanted to touch on was college basketball gets fired up. It's obviously they take a little break over Christmas as well. Some good games this weekend, nothing crazy. But as we get into next week, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, New Year's Eve, we get West Virginia, Kansas, Utah, Baylor, Duke, Virginia Tech, Marquette, Providence. New Year's Day's a bunch of good games as well. So getting into the prime of college basketball as we move into January here. So excited for that as well as we move into full conference play, all that good stuff. But Ace, that's all I got. You got anything else you want to touch on?
No, excited to see some of these other sports get going here. Ready to enjoy a nice little New Year's. Got to finish up the Christmas season here. But some great football games. A lot of great sports coming throughout this next week. It's a really good week for sports. We have today, We have Friday off with nothing really crazy, but today, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, some NFL. Then Tuesday we get the Winter Classic and a lot of hockey, and Wednesday we get the college football playoffs. So really great time of the year to watch sports. I'm excited to watch.
Absolutely. And as always, thanks for listening. And we'll see you guys Sunday for our Week 17 live stream in the NFL to go over our top 5 games and give out our best official plays there. So make sure you're tuning into that. Turn on your post notifications so you never miss any of the free plays, things like that. Other than that, thanks for listening. We'll see you guys on